I went like this to take a picture.
Yeah.
I had my arm around him, and he was like, "Hold on a second." Shook my hand, and afterwards,
The reporter's there.
Yeah, Belt the reporter.
you know, shook my hand, and then I said, "I just have one quick question for you. What is your top sales secret?" And he looks at me. He's like, "That's a great question." And I look up at the bodyguard out of the corner of my eye. He's like, "No." And he was like, "I just can't answer that right now. I'm sorry."
100%
From my ears, though.
No way! Why
It's
does
a
it?
good lesson,
Dude,
right?
no, this should not be cut. This should not be cut.
It was a little.
No, this is not getting cut. So we'll talk a part of it. No, let's just talk. Dude, everyone
talk
knows
about
we're
it.
authentic, and we just tell the story.
It's a
So
good
what was
learning
awesome is
lesson.
Gary was humble, hungry, eager to give us as much value as possible. David, same thing.
Yeah.
Was excited to be part of the book. You name it. So then we meet with David. We meet with Gary. We get him in the books. We're like, hell yeah, huge. Last speaker, Damon John. He's coming in for the VIP after party event at like 9 p.m. We're like, dude, if we get Gary, we get David, and we get Damon John, holy shit, best ROI conference ever. So we're on a high right now of like, we just nailed the David and Gary Vee interview.
I bet that was all a blur, wasn't it? Right.
While I was
Yeah.
interviewing David, Gary went on stage, and I'm like, Dana, shoot Gary. So we have the Gary keynote. So she left halfway through the David interview to go shoot Gary. We finished the David interview, got to catch the second half of the Gary Vee keynote. And then right after the keynote, it was an awesome session. We sat again right up in front on the floor
Rinse
in
and
front of
repeat.
Gary and Nick. Dude, if it worked the first time,
Yeah,
it'll work
exactly,
again.
of course.
And you know, after his keynote, they asked for questions, and of course, right away, first person, raised my hand. Problem was they were using the mics now, so halfway through the conference, they weren't
So they
using
must be
mics.
scattered around,
The
right?
mics were in the back.
No.
I'm raising my hand on the floor. No one can see me. I stand up. I'm raising my hand. The mics, like, I'm nowhere near the mic guy. You know, so the mics get passed to different people in the back. I was so pissed we couldn't get a question out to Gary, just because I wanted our like
The rest
impact that he
Yeah.
made for us to be shared with the 1,000 people there. And
Should have brought a megaphone with you. Well, who's got the microphone?
yeah, hey, yo, bring a mic up
Over
here.
it.
So we couldn't get a question off to Gary. The keynote ends, and now it's like straight event ends. If you're a VIP, you're going to the Empathy Wine tasting with Gary, his team, and for a picture, meet and greet, all that jazz. We're like, well, we already did the meet and greet. Let's just go and get more content. We're like, let's try to get more content with Gary. Let's ask him more questions. Let's pull as much content out from this experience as possible. So then we go to the Empathy Wine thing. The Empathy Wines was badass. I thought the wine tasted great.
It was great. Yeah.
It was rosé and then like Chardonnay or something.
Chardonnay.
Yep,
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
I'm like,
What type of wine people are you?
I'm not a
White
big
wine.
rosé
I'm a white
guy.
wine,
I'm not
so-
a rosé guy.
Yeah.
Mason-
I
I'm
didn't drink the
actually-
rosé. I didn't even
Mason
touch
loves
the rosé.
rosé.
I
keep
know.
you keep
Dude,
that
I don't
stuck.
even touch rosé. It's only
It was a
white
little.
wine.
Rosé's a little sweet for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
I mean, if you stick
Chardonnay
it with-
person, but that was delicious.
It was.
You stick it with lemonade, man, it's dangerous.
Empathy
Oh,
wine.
the only problem though with the people pouring it, they were stingy.
So we kept
On the
having
pours.
to ask to pour.
Like they would pour like a
Yeah,
small
just
pour.
a little taste, and I'd be like,
Oh,
"Oh
okay.
no, I'm sorry. Could you put a little bit
Yeah.
more?"
Yeah,
So then
please,
I had like a bunch of cash on me, so I'm like
Yeah.
Pour,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
So they were giving us larger pours because we kept tipping them. They're like, we can't accept tips. I'm like, yeah, here, take the cash.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah,
give us
yeah.
a little more.
Keep all
Because the
balls.
Empathy wine bottles are super expensive.
Yeah.
It's like 10,000 a case. I'm like, dude, throw some
Yeah.
guy. I think it's like 10,000 a case.
I'm not quite for sure what it is, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So, you know, we're drinking the wine, we're excited, and then like, hey, you got to line up to meet with Gary and do the pictures. So there's this like massive line because like, you know, anyone that had VIP tickets was there, and then D-Rock and Tyler, and then Andrew.
Crane.
I always think of Austin because of our CTO. So Andrew, Tyler, and D-Rock were at a table hanging out. So literally, I just sit down with them.
Yeah.
Like sit down, like you know, hey, part of the
Yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah.
Like, what's going on,
Merge
guys?
in, merge in.
You know, hey, awesome. Again, we complimented them. Awesome job, dude. Killer event. And then like, because we're so obsessed with trying to figure out how can we produce 100 value-driven pieces of content for our audience and get it out there and document everything and produce it and get it out there, I literally went into like straight question mode about like the specifics of how the hell do they shoot, edit, produce, and distribute it as fast as humanly possible. You know, went into more detail about, look, we're shooting everything, hundreds of hours of content. Like, walk me through how you shoot it. Then how does it go from shooting to editing, and then from editing to production and distribution? And like they went through all this. They literally, D-Rock and Tyler, like they walked us through. Andrew, the creative director, he walked us through like step by step how we could do it. And they were super open, transparent. Like, this is how you do it. Step 1,
Super
step 2, step
valuable
3.
information, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, they were coaching us, like, hey, you're all in on LinkedIn. You get 1 million views on LinkedIn a month. That's awesome. But they're like, do what we do. We do 80-20. So we'll be 80% on a platform that's crushing it, but then we'll do 20% on all these other platforms, just in case, like, if LinkedIn shuts down, you're screwed, and then you're not on any other platform.
Yeah.
So they were pushing us to make sure that we start getting involved with other platforms, because a year ago, you know, when we were a small startup, it was like, hey, we're a small startup. We don't have the resources to be on every platform. It's going to be like a little bit of a half-ass effort on everything. We're going all in on LinkedIn. Our whole sales community is on LinkedIn. That's all we care about. B2B sales audience, we're going to give them the most value on LinkedIn. And they were just coaching us on, like, we got to diversify, which was cool. And then, you know, Gary sees us talking with the team, hanging out with the team. So then when we got up to him, like, you know, we're bullshitting with him, getting more advice, hanging out, talking with them, taking a ton of pictures. We gave him an LFG hat that he wore and took a picture with.
That was sweet.
Gave him LFG pop sockets, which is funny. I don't have them on my phone because they fell off. But gave him a bunch of LFG pop sockets, an LFG hat, no Q5 hat. He's like, that's awesome. Give it to Tyler. Put it in my bag. And then we were just talking about, like, I was trying to ask him, like, how do we get on the VaynerMedia speaker circuit, because he reps like all these top speakers. He's like, you know, call Tyler, have Tyler set up a meeting, you know, all that jazz. And then, like, that was it. So then that was over, and then David was hanging out, eating at
a restaurant.
At the restaurant, that, like, the VIP was at a restaurant. So I see David and his video crew. So after Gary, just sit down right next to David. Hey, what's going on, David?
Yeah.
Dude, great interview. Like, we're bullshitting. And then, like, we got another hours, like, me, David, his team,
And the table.
Dana and Mason.
Wow.
Like, we sat there and we just strategized about business, sales, life, how to maximize our success. Like, what are you doing to maximize your success? What are we doing to maximize our sales success? What advice do you have? What advice do we have? Like, we're just like, it was like an hour mastermind, which was badass. And we recorded most of it, all of it.
Yeah, we got some of it.
And that was awesome. And then, you know, we went with David and his crew to the VIP event. Like, it was like the VIP wine tasting with Gary Vee, and then his team was out. And then Damon John was flying in.
For the after party.
So we're like, we got to get an interview with Damon John. Shark Tank. Top sales secret. Let's use the same strategy. So we're like, okay, the event starts did it start at 10 or 9?
9.
It felt late. I was exhausted.
Oh, I bet.
I was beat by 8. So we're like, okay, we're going to get to the event at 8. Event doesn't start till 9. We'll go into the speaker lounge at 8:39. So it's like 8:30. We're rolling up. Mason and Dana are like 10 feet behind me.
Yeah.
How far were you behind me? Like
Something
5
like
feet,
that.
10 feet?
When we were going into the speaker room.
Yeah.
Like
Kind of far.
No, not
We
too
were
far.
trying to figure out, okay, where's he gonna come in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna come in the back,
different
or is he
way?
gonna come in
Where
like right on
Right.
stage? Like, we're trying to figure out. So they were looking like where he would come out,
Like
and I
different
walk into the
entrances.
speakers lounge.
We were about the only ones in there.
Yeah,
aside from the cleanup crew.
Yeah, like, because we were there early. So I'm like, okay, I walk into the speakers lounge. Damon John and his team are there, and I'm like, oh fuck.
No way.
So I walk up, and then I do one of these, like I walk up and I turn around immediately, and I'm
And you
like,
tell.
no, like, yeah.
Guys,
So
come on,
It's like
so
fidgeting
I
with
walked
his-
in,
Yeah.
the door
I wasn't
closed.
ready. No.
I walked out, like I walked in, did a 360 real quick, walked out. I did the same thing. Mason, Dana, it's on. Let's go. Cameras, shoot, live. they're like, oh shit. So
It's all happening that
So-
quick. Wow.
Dana's right behind me. Mason pulls up the camera.
Yeah.
We walk in and like right away. Damon's like on his phone, and I walk straight up to him. Hey, Damon, huge fan. Thanks so much for coming out. Brandon Bornancin here. Quick question for you. You know, we're writing a book and a podcast. I want to ask you, what is your top sales secret? If you had to go back in time to when you first started as an entrepreneur, what is your number one top sales secret? And he looks at me, and he's like, hey, thanks so much. And he's about to answer it. And then his team stops him from sharing the secret. They stopped him from sharing it. And they're like, hey, if you want to interview Damon,
Gotta set
you
it
have to
up.
go through our people, and you got to call this Jerry. You got to call Jerry. You work through Jerry and get it all set up. I'm like, hey, man, it's just 5 minutes. Like, I'm trying to. This guy was like 6'5".
Yeah.
And like massive,
Yeah.
250-pound like football player. And like, he's hovering over me. He's like, oh, no interviews.
No cameras.
No cameras, no interviews. And Mason's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like
And I'm like
this. I'm
secretly
like,
putting it down.
keep fucking rolling. I'm like, keep rolling. And then I'm like, hey man, like it's just a quick question. Just got a quick question for him. I asked it again. He's like, hey, what'd I say? No interviews. You got to go through Jerry. I'm like, damn it. Okay, man. Hey, Damon, great to meet you. Shook his hand again. And then like we left, and that felt like a failure. And I'm like, okay, like that didn't work. Like we were like so close.
We need to take out the big
We
guy.
were so close. And then, so then they're lining up for pictures. We're lining up for pictures with Damon, and I'm like, we'll ask him again. So like, I line up for pictures. We line up for pictures. Damon's there, and then his bodyguard. So like,
Wait, didn't you mic me up?
No, that
oh,
happened
that was
outside.
that was third.
Oh, sorry.
So we're like, okay, like first shot
Yeah.
failed. They're like, okay, well let's try again. Like maybe he'll be like more open, because we knew he had to open up the VIP party, like on stage behind the DJ booth, like had to announce it that he's here, let's party, blah blah blah, and then he comes out for pictures. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like maybe he was just stressed that he had to do that. So we line up for pictures, and like right away, hit him hard. Like, hey Damon, man, what's your top sales secret? Like, and because I know I'm mic'd up, we're recording. Mason's over the side with the video camera, and the big guy, he's like, "Hey man, what'd I tell you? No interviews." I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, damn it. So we take the pictures with Damon John. I'm bullshitting with him just about like entrepreneurship or whatever for a quick second, and then I leave because
So
there's
we
a massive
powwow.
line.
Yeah, so we get back to the powwow.
And then I'm like, okay, that was a failure. So 2 shots failed. So then we're like, how do we do this? How do we pull this off? We've got 1 shot. This is it. May not see Damon John ever again.
And Dana just like straight up volunteers, like, oh, I'll do it. Like,
She's
I'll
like, hey,
ask.
mic me up. I'm gonna try. So then we mic Dana up, and like
Same
Dana
process.
gets
Because I didn't think he saw me.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even
So-
me, I'm holding the camera. And
Yeah,
this
he saw
guy.
Mason behind me
Oh,
filming.
Wow, that's clever.
And then,
Yeah.
so we're like, okay, we'll mic Dana up. Mason, you shoot from afar. We'll get the audio.
Full zoom.
Yeah, full zoom. We'll get the audio, and then we'll have him. We'll be good for the book and the podcast. So
Yeah.
then she tries, like, because I wasn't there, like, you could do the play-by-play from us miking you up to asking and what happened.
Yeah.
So I had my mic was visible. It was like right here,
Barely.
barely
Barely
visible.
visible.
I walk up and I start talking to him, and he's like, "Hold on a second," like wants to shake my hand. So I shake his hand, and then
First person he should shake.
Yeah,
hands
because
with
you
all
weren't
day.
allowed
he
to
didn't
touch him.
You weren't allowed to touch him.
Like
Yeah,
you
bodyguard
couldn't
So
go like
I
a
went-
Bodyguard
Oh.
wouldn't let you, like, wouldn't let you go
Right,
around him to
for a
take a
photo,
picture.
yeah.
And I
Wouldn't let
went
you do
like
anything.
this to take a picture.
Yeah.
I had my arm around him, and he was like, "Hold on a second." Shook my hand, and
The
afterwards,
reporter's there.
Yeah, built a
Oh,
rapport.
okay.
you know, shook my hand,
Mhm.
and then I said, "I just have one quick question for you. What is your top sales secret?" And he looks at me. He's like, "That's a great question." And I look up at the bodyguard out of the corner of my eye. He's like, "No." And he was
And-
like, "I just can't answer that right now. I'm sorry."
Ah!
Future.
So,
This guy! It's so
I mean, if you
annoying!
can't catch it third time lucky, I mean,
Yeah, you know.
I think it's dried out there.
So,
But yeah, so you know, you just gotta take
Mason
your
wants
shot.
us to kill the deal right now. It doesn't end there. So,
unfortunately,
so
for Mason, it
we're
doesn't
still
end there.
gonna roll with this, man.
Yeah, of course, I'm all in.
So then Dana's like Dana comes back and we're like, did you get it? She's like, no, bodyguard killed the deal again. And we're like, ah. So then Mason's like, we gotta go. Like, it's over.
Yeah.
We got
everything we needed and more.
We got Gary and David, huge. Tried to get Damon. We got some pictures, awesome. Had a good conversation with Damon. Couldn't get him to answer the questions. Let's just roll out. Dana and I, like, we don't like to lose. So we're just like, no, we're not leaving.
Yeah.
Like, Damon's here for another
I'm
hour.
not seeing that Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah, like, Damon's here for another hour, dude. We're not quitting and leaving early as going home as losers. So we're
despite all the knockout interviews you've got already.
Yeah, exactly.
So Dana and I are like, we're looking around. So like, there's a stage, then there was like a black screen, like
Curtains.
Like it's curtains like blocking everything but the stage. Damon's on stage, and we're just like.
Well, and there was a girl that went up to the stage, and he talked to her for like good
4 minutes, 5
4 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think it was the pouring up, the kind of
So,
the factor?
Brandon wanted to just like hop on the stage straight. From
I
the
was like,
dance
let's
floor.
just jump on the
Yeah.
stage. Because, no, so Braxton Miller was
yeah.
there, and we interviewed Braxton, and we got some pictures with Braxton. That was cool. So like, I noticed Damon's on stage. The bodyguard is distracted bullshitting with Braxton Miller. And I'm like, there's our opportunity.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we could either go right up on stage and talk to him.
In front of everybody.
In front of everybody and try to get it for the 4th time. But then we're like, no, let's go around backstage. So we go around backstage, but like there was so much security that blocked us from like going from backstage to the stage that we couldn't get through. So then we come back around and then we try to get like on stage, but like there was so much security.
I can imagine.
Well, and by the time we got back there, he was already gone.
Oh,
He
yeah.
only he
It
didn't
was like
stay very
super
long.
late.
Yeah, he was there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, he was there for like a half hour and
Nice
then dipped, dude.
I bet you must have fell asleep like babies that night, right?
So-
How long was the day?
So
would
we
you
were
say?
on a high,
Yeah.
like a massive high. Like, holy shit, this was amazing.
Yeah.
David, Gary Vee, Damon John, kind of awesome, not really.
Wow.
Because we couldn't get the interview.
Yeah.
And
we tried. We shot our shot.
We shot our shot.
You know, you
And
don't
that's
always.
4
yeah.
times.
You know, you don't always make it. You don't always make it in, but you never know unless you try.
Exactly.
And like
and it worked earlier in the day.
the moral I think of that story is like you just have to like go all out, right? Like, so we went all out trying to contact them to sell them the book interview months before that event. Nothing. You know, Phil was reached out 100 times. Like, no success, unfortunately, because like you just get millions of inquiries, you know, thousands of inquiries. So then we go to this conference. Phil's like, you got to go to this conference. You got to try to get the interview. He's like, I bought the tickets. You guys are going. Do whatever you can to get the interview. I'll try to line up everything as much as possible. So like he like had this whole thing staged. So that's why I was messing with him about being worthless.
Yeah.
Like, he planned everything. Like, he
Nah.
nailed it perfectly. And so then
It's just a joke. You're gonna hate the interview in the first 20 minutes.
Hey
then
Phil,
you're gonna love it
Phil,
right now.
we love you. You're not worthless.
It's just a joke.
Yeah, just a joke, man. So, you know, like, so he's like, dude, the only way that you're gonna be able to get Gary Vee is if you just like somehow figure out how to hack it and get into him. But I got you, David, and I got you the tickets, and you got to get them before the event or during the VIP event, and boom, 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 and I'll still email and call them. So like, it was just like, if we didn't at the beginning, like, everything led to the next thing that gave us more success in locking down the Gary Vee interview. Like, we got there early. We did a shitload of like, I reached out to Nick at the event like a week or two before the event, built rapport. Right at the beginning, walked up to Nick.
Yeah.
He was doing the badges. No one walked up to Nick and said anything when he was doing the badges. I complimented him, thanked him for putting on the event. Thrilled to be at the event. Can't wait to learn as much as possible. Awesome job, blah, blah, blah. Built amazing rapport with Nick, you know, which then led to when we got into the speakers lab, like, then that led to, we were super like up front with the D-Rock team and Gary Vee's team shooting it all, asking the question. Like, we just kept taking these aggressive shots, like, to be out there and be in front and seize the opportunity that we had. And then after the Gary Vee team, it was okay. Then we went after Gary Vee's team right off the stage, and that led to then meeting Tyler in the speakers lounge.
Yeah.
The speakers lounge, the security thought we were speakers because we were speaking with D-Rock. We went to the speakers lounge. We were speaking with Tyler.
And
Then Nick comes in. We build rapport with Nick. He's already got a great relationship with us. He doesn't mind that we're there. or he thinks that we're like supposed to be there. I don't know. And then like that led to the interview, and then that led to the David interview, and then that led to somewhat almost getting the Damon John interview. Like every hard work shot, not being scared to just like go all out for your goals and dreams. Like that was what it was about, and that was really it.
So if you were going to break it down into a little pie chart of motivation, skill, and luck, give us a bit of an idea of from each one of your standpoints. Like, was all motivation from?
I would say that was. I would say it was like 33% skill, 33% motivation, and then 33%. I don't think there was any luck. No, I would say 33% motivation, 33% skill, and then 33% just action.
Yeah, I like that. I'd agree.
Like it was skill, it was motivation, and just the confidence.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Like
yeah.
I would say not
think
action, like because that's in motivation. 33% confidence to just go after it. Like
exactly, because you know everyone in that conference paid all those money for those tickets just to do what we did, but no one but us was confident enough to like do it.
To have the courage to just
course,
go hard and make it happen.
And you struck gold.
Yep.
You struck absolute gold.
Yeah.
Wow, that is absolutely phenomenal. And you know what? It puts a whole lot of more context behind, you know, when you watch a podcast and you listen to it, you just don't know the real untold hustle and bustle behind what content goes out. But
I mean, that stuff happened.
Phenomenal.
That happened with almost every like sales. Like we've got so many of those stories about like how we got a job offer from Grant Cardone, to the interview with Jill Conrad, to the interview with Trish Petruzzi, to Anthony Iannarino, one of the world's best sales authors, investing in our company. Keith Rosen, one of the world's best sales authors, speaking and investing in our company. Like to Guy Kawasaki, like, you know, when we were 18 and we built our first company, we read Guy Kawasaki's The Art of the Start, and that, you know, then, you know, became the CEO of, the president of the CEO organization in college, and launched a $10 million company. And then 10 years later, I pitch and close Guy Kawasaki on investing in Seamless. Like all this shit of like hard work, confidence, going for it no matter what anyone thinks. It just leads to so many opportunities. And all of those opportunities came to fruition because of the sales list. Lewis, you know, you are one list away from the life you want, the dreams you want, the goals you want, the marriage you want, the kids you want, the car you want.
Definitely, without a doubt.
You know, all the lists, you know, got us to those points, and then the hard work, the confidence, the motivation brought it all together.
You give the stage, and then let other people do the performance. That's amazing. Wow. Well, thank you so much for answering my question, guys. I didn't expect such detail and such a phenomenal story behind it.
Now, hopefully, we don't have to answer it like 90 more times. Everyone asks us, how do you lock it in?
All the other incidences that you were talking about with Kawasaki, we'd love to hear him, I'm sure, definitely, and all the viewers at home, and I'm all ears for sure next time.